All right, so let's start with the big story that we are tracking on WION at this hour. The race to the White House is heating up after the formal nomination of President Donald Trump to run for the presidency again on the first day of the RNC. The Republican National Convention has been equally eventful on its second day as well. It was the First Lady of the United States, Melania Trump, who took center stage on day two. She spoke at length on several different issues, from the coronavirus pandemic to the ongoing Black Lives Matter protests. She has also urged the mothers of the nation to vote for Donald Trump, touting that he is the only one who will keep all of their families safe in these difficult times.
I like to call on the citizens of this country to take a moment, pause, and look at things from all perspectives. I urge people to come together in a civil manner so we can work and live up to our standard American ideals. I also ask people to stop the violence and looting being done in the name of justice, and never make assumptions based on the color of a person's skin. Instead of tearing things down, let's reflect on our mistakes, be proud of our evolution, and look to our way forward.
And also the U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo spoke at the Republican convention, where he said that Trump has put America First vision into action. He also spoke on the quote-unquote the coronavirus and the Iranian Major General Qasem Soleimani, who was assassinated by the Americans at the beginning of this year. Now, Pompeo also went ahead to claim that Donald Trump has wiped out the Islamic State in Iraq and also in the Levant completely, with the killing of Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi.
When Iran threatened, the president approved a strike that killed the Iranian terrorist Qasem Soleimani. This is the man most responsible for the murder and maiming of hundreds of American soldiers and thousands of Christians across the Middle East. And you'll recall, too, that when the president took office, radical Islamic terrorists had beheaded Americans, and ISIS controlled a territory in the size of Great Britain. Today, because of the president's determination and leadership, the ISIS caliphate is wiped out. It's gone. Its evil leader, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, is dead. And our brave soldiers, they're on their way home.
And in the meanwhile, Donald Trump also naturalized 5 people as official citizens of the United States of America. In a short speech, he said that the people who are originally from Bolivia, Lebanon, India, Sudan and Ghana have lived their lives lawfully on American soil and therefore have now been welcomed into the American fold. Now, the convention started off with President Trump granting full pardon to a Nevada man, John Ponder, who was convicted on charges of bank robbery. Trump described Ponder's story as a beautiful testament to the power of redemption. Ponder has now found a non-profit group for the prisoners seeking redemption. A little over 2 months ago, for the U.S. presidential election, Democrats and Republicans are going into the final stretch of the campaign. And unlike their counterparts, the Republicans are holding a part digital and a part in-person convention. This despite the United States remaining the worst affected nation due to the COVID-19 outbreak, with more than 5 million cases of infections. All right, to give us more perspective in terms of what's in fact playing out in the United States as a part of this Republican National Convention Center, we are joined by Jagruti Dave, who's joining us live from Washington, D.C. Jagruti, let me begin by asking you this. It was the First Lady of the United States who spoke today. We heard from her, and she chose to touch upon many topics which generally have not been touched upon very prominently by the Republicans as a part of this event. She touched upon the issue of the coronavirus pandemic and also about the racial tensions presently prevalent in the United States. Do you think this would have touched the right chord with the Republican voters?
Well, it certainly was very different to the tone that we heard yesterday, sort of the very ominous language coming from so many speakers about what is in store for America if people vote for the Democrats. Instead, from Melania Trump, which we were told by her chief of staff, Stephanie Grisham, earlier in the day, she would be striking a positive and optimistic tone. And in general, that is clearly what Melania Trump has tried to do. She, as you say, addressed the pandemic and actually spoke directly to Americans who had lost loved ones, saying that I want you to know you're not alone and that the Trump administration won't stop fighting until there's a vaccine. That sort of language, addressing American people directly and expressing sympathy for their loss, is something that many critics of the president, of her husband, have said he has not done enough. Not least throughout the press briefings that he's given on the coronavirus pandemic. She also tried to talk about send a unifying message to the country as it grapples with yet more protests surrounding racial justice and the police's use of force. She also appealed to women voters. That was one of the themes of the day. There were a lot of women speakers and a lot of, there was a montage, a video of presenting many women who currently work in and have worked in as part of the Trump campaign. Talking about their role and the opportunities they've been given. So it's really an attempt to boost the president's image with women voters, and Melania Trump sort of tried to further that end.
Absolutely, indeed. And the other issue that a lot of people are in fact talking about is the address that was given by Mike Pompeo. He's presently in Jerusalem. Now, the secretaries of state in the past have never addressed a convention of this nature, but by speaking as he has done today. You know, what kind of a message does this send to the American public at large? Does this send the message that perhaps, you know, a Trump-appointed official would not shy away from, in fact, taking part in active partisan politics?
Well, look, a lot of the critics of this administration are saying exactly that. They are criticising Mike Pompeo for effectively breaching protocol by being a sitting US Secretary of State and making a partisan political statement at a party political convention, doing so whilst on a trip abroad, a diplomatic trip abroad. So yes, critics are saying that. Critics are also questioning the president's use of the White House as a backdrop for many of the video montages, the naturalization ceremony, for example. All of these are questions that critics are asking about really how ethical it is to use that, whether it breaches conventions. For example, the Hatch Act, which under certain conditions prohibits the use of sort of federal buildings in political activities. So the Democrats have actually launched an investigation into Secretary of State Mike Pompeo's appearance. They want him to give briefings on exactly how he has come to the legal understanding that he is allowed to give this speech.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much indeed, Jagruti Dave, for joining us and getting us all those updates.